さて、どっちを最初にしましょうか。ちょっと楽しみ。It's coming. Welcome back. I'm just gonna do some reading. I mean, part of me wanted to do just more Notion, or rather more note taking stuff, like the stuff I was doing last time. But uh, I also was like, yeah, I really need to make some progress at work, so I'll have to do that first. Okay, what is this? NCIB, is that? Ah, okay. Oh, actually, wait. I think I haven't read this, but I read something that mentioned this before. Yeah. Or maybe I didn't. I heard about the potential, like, you know, anti-cancer usage, but I don't think I've read this paper specifically. I've always Well, no, I think this is, yeah, that's fair. No, sorry, the only thing I'm bringing up is uh it is just the structure for capsaicin. I always thought it was funny when they go out of their way to put, maybe not funny, but um the just put them putting the methanes fully written out on the very end, or the methyl groups on the fully written out on the end. Which is fine, right? Because you want to tell them that they're the carbons on each end are fully, what is the word, hydrated. But um, also, if they just left it as a bar, people would know what it was supposed to be anyway. So I feel like the only places where they needed to mention the hydrogen presence is the hydroxy group on the far bottom left, and then on the nitrogen, right? Because otherwise, I think, it's pretty. Also, did they draw this by hand? I just thought it was funny. Anyway, Can induce apoptosis. Hmm. Do they happen to list the? Oh, this is synthesis, right? Right, right. Um, or maybe the notation has to do with the synthesis. Maybe there's something in here that needs some contextualization. I don't know. Sometimes there's reasons to write it, from what I understand. So, oh, great. Sorry. So, anti-cancer. Uh, Sorry, let me turn this off here. Um, I mean, I'd have to go through these citations, but no, the titles seem pretty straightforward. uh, Maybe not that one. Okay. Anyway, interesting. I'll just skip the table. That's gonna take spicy good. Good for you. Well, I mean, I suppose that's the crux of the issue, right? Like, I need to check how are these being run? Is it just literally you just inject capsaicin like around a tumor cell and it can, let's see. So they said um alter the expression of several genes involved in cancer cell survival growth rate. Um, Interesting. Okay. So then, and then this is the breakdown. Okay. Honestly, well formatted, very straightforward. I have to go through all the citations to really see for sure, but. Okay, so this is kind of the potential routes. Interesting. What is. Let's take. Okay, yes. Okay, so this is probably closer to what I wanted to see. This graph here, figure 3. Okay, so and this is some. Okay, that's fair. Memory of no intracellular free calcium ions mitochondria. What is caspase? I mean, caspase by the name must be some cas. It's some enzyme, right? So caspase. What is that? Family of cysteine proteases that serve as primary effectors during apoptosis. Oh, okay, yeah, and that's why this is just the last step. Okay. There's a typo. Anyway. No. It's that meme chicken. No, that's fair. I'm trying to go through this and I'm trying to look for words that I recognize, but okay. I mean, I guess the long story short is that if you wanted to investigate any specific cancer type and then, how capsaicin can act as some sort of, maybe not inhibitor or some kind of well, how capsaicin affects it. They've got a bunch of or there exists a lot of literature, so that's, yeah, that's fine. I Yeah. He's play. Well, I mean, I guess that's, but sorry. So what I was getting at earlier was, I guess that's the crux of the issue, right? Because, right, eating spicy. I mean, I know this is a joke, obviously, but in terms of like, then do we see lower cancer rates in regions that have, you know, where the regional cuisine has a higher presence of, say, capsaicin? Do they talk about that? It seems like a natural kind of extension of the discussion, but I don't know if they necessarily talk about it here because this seems to be more about the existing literature. Like this seems more like a literature review, if I understand correctly, right? Like it's just discussing what kind of research exists and so on and so forth. Um, so yeah, like I don't know how capsaicin kind of interacts with the body, right? I don't know. Does it stay as capsaicin and enter, say, like can it enter the bloodstream as capsaicin, or does it have to? Um, Maybe not this article. Okay, yeah, no, that's totally. Because again, it's fair. This article looks like it's just a a, a literature review, which is if that's what it is, then that's it. It's done its job, right? So that's fine. Uh, they do interesting. Okay, I wonder how exactly that works. Because if if we go with the running assumption that capsaicin presence or the dietary capsaicin presence is a non-trivial factor, and uh, and then we know that capsaicin can affect these various well, not only types of cancer, but I guess types of cancer. Then I guess, yeah, I wonder how the mechanism works, because it's not necessarily, oh, the capsaicin gets in your body and then just does it, right? Because from what I understand correctly, it's not really attacking the cancer. It's just it changes how the body behaves, which coincidentally, maybe not coincidentally, but as a result of the change in how the body behaves, leads to a lower, I guess, what do you call it, survival rate for potential like cancer or tumor cells, if I'm understanding the gist of this correctly. So but yeah, so then it's interesting, right? Yeah, like so like but it'd be fun, right? Like just sign up for a what do you call it, like a clinical study, right? And it's like, oh yeah, you just got to eat spicy food for a year or something. Like that'd be interesting. Yeah, maybe whatever it takes to make hospital food taste better, right? Like if spicy food equals less cancer is all it needs, all you need to do to get hospital food to taste better, then by all means, right? Interesting. I think I had kind of read something along these lines, or at least capsaicin's effect on cancer suppression. I feel like I did read a headline about that in the past, but I didn't realize there was this much literature around it. That's interesting. Yeah, how did you dig this up? Is this a new? This isn't maybe not an old article, but it's not a new article. Did it just like randomly pop up, or yeah? Yeah. So what I'm getting from this article though is that I should eat more mapo tofu then. This is justification that I should eat more mapo tofu, as if I don't eat enough already, right? Article that cited this. Oh, okay. So you probably just came from a newer article then. Okay. That's good. That's good. It's good to read. But I guess one thing about these articles though is that it is kind of difficult to find where to start, right? Because like this again seems more like a literature review, which is why it's got a ton of citations. But it's like to get to like to the bottom of the first section, you've already got like, what is this? Like, I guess 18 citations, and it's like, if you really want to know what they're talking about, you kind of have to go back and read all those, right? At least partially. So it's like, and then to understand those, you got to read more, and this is the difficulty with reading these kind of academic papers, right? It's a never ending just like rabbit hole of papers to read. I was just talking about this with one of my colleagues, but it's like our PI recently did a journal, or did kind of a journal club thing, and the reading for it was, if I remember correctly, it's cold, and then I guess ultra cold, like chemistry, like yeah. So that just the idea is, how do you chemistry, what do you call it, in the regimes where that your temperatures are like sub like 1 millikelvin. The reason why he did this article is because he had to do a presentation later that week, so last week. But anyway, yeah, that article is hard because it discussed very, maybe not briefly, but to some just very like shallowly, like about 5 different techniques and stuff. And well, those techniques were kind of recent papers themselves, but to understand those, you had to go like 3 papers deep, maybe not three, more like 2 papers deep in each of those topics to like really like get it. And I was just like, I was like, I'm on page 2 and I've spent like a week on this paper. Well, I'm not literally, of course, because we only had a few days to read it, but it's like, if I wanted to get through this paper, I would need like, multiple weeks. It's like, it's it's so much. I want to say too much because it's an understandable amount of reading, to be necessary, but it's just so much. uh, I mean, this is part of the reason why I'm here so late, right? Well, anyway, sorry. So I'll let you get back to your reading, but and I'm gonna get back to my reading as well. But this is kind of just what academia is, right? Just a lot of reading. I'm gonna lower the volume of this guy though. Also, is Iris gonna stream today? I have my iPad here on the side for playing any streams, but right now, who's streaming right now? I guess Duina is streaming right now, so I'll throw that up for the time being, but don't think so? Okay, then I'll just leave this up. It's just some just some white noise, I guess. But yeah. Yeah. All right. So yeah, so I wanted to go through this again. I guess I don't really need to because I already restarted, but yeah. So 2-photon Doppler free spectroscopy, and I think I wrote some notes on that. Still don't know the answer to that. But okay, so I was right here then. Chatcast in the morning. What time? I mean, I guess no, don't worry about it. I'll check. Let me. I should actually wait here. So I know that holodex is a thing, but I've never used it. This is a good opportunity because it should be on here, right, under upcoming or something. Chadcast. Here we go. 5 a.m. 마지대. You know what? It's fair. I'll just get up for it. I can get up for it. I can get up for it. I think. Your VOD gang on that? Yeah, because in your case it's yeah, right. I think in my case I can just get up early. I can just drag myself out of bed and then just have a coffee or something, right? So, but timing wise for you, right? Yeah, I imagine it's not, can't really listen to it while you're, yeah. That's fair. Okay, 5 o'clock though. I think I can. I'll just be a little groggy at noon. It's fine. All right, so let's get back to reading. Hmm? Chatcast is placeholder. Oh, really? Okay. I didn't click it, so I didn't notice, but... Actually, I see that Callie has something listed as RPG Maker games. I don't know if that's a spoiler for the content of the Chadcast, but... Oh, I see, okay. Yeah. It said, I think it said the same time. Let me see. Maybe I misread it. It says, yeah, they say both Monday 5, well, for me it's 5 a.m., of course, but, yeah, it's an RPG Maker game. I'm assuming that it was just mislabeled or something, but, yeah. Well, no, it says Monday the 6th at 5 a.m. Strange. Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't mind getting up at 5 o'clock anyway, so. If it's not Chadcast, then, oh, you know, it's something else, right? That's fine. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't know what it is, but we'll see. Might be RPG Maker, which is interesting, right? Yeah. Yeah. I keep forgetting that Chadcast is Mondays, so it'll be nice to actually be able to make one for once. Sorry, so right, so you end up with the vector Helmholtz equation. Right, so this is plugging in, sorry, so E vector is the wave, right? So when you plug in a monochromatic field, I guess you write it as e to the negative I omega t plus k. I can't remember what it is. You'd think after taking 110, or sorry, EM so much, I'd be able to memorize what the like plane wave equation is, but um, well, something like that. There's a k, and I think it's like k and then x or whatever, where x is just the spatial axis, right? So that's a general form. Whatever. I guess when you plug it in, then yeah, you should be able to. These should just pop out. Symbols of the vector plane. Oh, it's just okay. So the spatial part is just written there. Okay. Where the two fixed vectors are E naught, the electric field vector, instrument complex, and K is the wave vector whose magnitude magnitude K equals omega over C is called the propagation constant. If E naught is real, so if the magnitude of the vector plane wave is real, the field is said to be linearly polarized along E naught, which I guess is Alright, E naught is a vector, yeah. If its real and imaginary parts are the same size, so that the instantaneous E rotates without changing length. The field is circularly polarized. I guess that makes sense because E to the I... What is the Einstein, like, formula? Or not Einstein, is it Einstein? No, it's Euler. It's Euler's formula. Both starts with an E, but as E to the I something equals, like, yeah, it's E to the I x equals cosine x I sine x, right? Right. So then if E naught has an imaginary and real component, or sorry, so then if the wave equation has a, if the equation for the vector plane wave has a magnitude that is real and imaginary, but both with the same magnitude, then once you break down the exponential thing attached to it into sine and cosine, then it as the spatial axis, or as you advance in the spatial axis, then the distribution between real and imaginary changes, but the total magnitude of the vector won't change, and that's why they call it circular polarization. Yeah, okay. And then if it's not, so that there is some non-equal, relationship between the magnitude of the real and imaginary, then it draws an ellipse as you advance, or the magnitude, or the what do you call it, the magnitude in the vector that you draw as the wave advances draws an ellipse, hence it's called elliptical polarization. That's fine. Okay. And then I say optics would back and forth between k vectors and light rays, often without noticing what they're. I don't know what they mean here. So k vectors are, k is the wave vector, where, yeah. And they're saying that optics folks switch back and forth between k vectors and light rays without noticing what they're doing. This usually works when light will fall apart. In situations where diffraction and birefringence are important, such as near a focus or a shadow boundary. Okay. I'm not really sure what the point of that statement was. Okay. Pausing for one moment. Just realized having my microphone right here is convenient from a speaking perspective, but not from a I want to close my book without bumping into it perspective. Anyway, so what I wanted to look up is why am I whatever? One of so this is kind of again me talking to myself, but my some of the people that work in the same lab, not on the same project, but in the same lab as us, they have a temperature monitoring system because well, I don't know how temperature sensitive their experiment is, but you know, it's nice to have that information, right? And their temperature controllers from or their temperature detectors from what I understand use what's it called? It uses a one wire protocol, which I didn't know was a thing until I googled it. But yeah, so evidently one wire protocol is a way to use one, I guess, data wire and then, some reference ground to handle all your communications with, well, it's a serial protocol that uses that, which I thought was interesting. But anyway, so they have that running on a Raspberry Pi because they just use one of the GPIO to communicate, or for that one pin or that one wire of serial communication. But evidently the postdoc, or not evidently, but the postdoc on that project has been kind of sick of using the Pi because of how kind of slow it can be sometimes, which I think is somewhat understandable. But so he was asking about how hard it would be to kind of use the same system but just on a PC. Now it should be pretty straightforward, right? Because it is at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how you get that one pin of serial communication, as long as you can, get that one pin. So one would be to have a dedicated serial port on your computer, which I think would probably be the most straightforward for them, or GPIO in some capacity. The other would be to get a USB to serial adapter or something like that, which I think is probably what they're going to do. But I have some hardware here that I think has a serial port. So in terms of just a integrated, solution, I think that'd actually be probably a little better. Let's see. So this connector is an LPT. What is an LPT port? LPT port. Oh, it's a parallel port. Okay. Is it possible to use that? Maybe not. Okay, so that computer I don't think will work. I don't even know why it has a parallel port on it, but it happens to have a parallel port, not a serial port, so that sucks. Let me check one more. Ah, okay. I think this computer has one. What is this? It's an Optiplex 9020. Specifically the small form factor. Excuse me. Specifically the small form factor version. And I just want to make sure that that connector on the back there is indeed a serial port. Let's see. or even just some kind of GPIO is what I'm just hoping it is. I'm pretty sure it says what is that symbol? Whatever, let me just give me the owner's manual. Okay, owner's manual. I just want to know. So there's just like an identifying parts type thing. Nine. What is 9? Oh, that's different. Here, setup and features information. Here we go. Dell Optiplex 9020 small form factor back panel. Okay. And 14 says back panel connectors. I want to see what those connectors are. Yes, okay. So I'm looking for number 2. Serial connector. There we go. Okay, so it does have an integrated serial connector. So we could test it out with this, presumably. Okay, there we go. Okay, so curiosity solved. Or mystery solved. Mystery, curiosity satisfied. There we go. There we go. Curiosity satisfied. Back to work. You know, I always thought it was a little stupid that they kept the serial or parallel ports on you know, business/enterprise computer hardware, but I mean, you're not stupid, but like, I was like, how often are those really used? But, you know, evidently our lab uses it, so I imagine it's fairly often, actually. All right, so plane wave materials and media. I'll move this over here. All right, so in absorbing media, the refractive index is complex. Assuming the medium is linear and time invariant, the temporal frequency cannot change. So K has to be different in the medium. I've kind of lost track of what we're talking about here. So in absorbing medium, the refractive index is complex. So it's now n, I guess, tilde is equal to n, the real component, plus ik, the imaginary component. Okay. So we say that. Assuming the medium is linear and time invariant. Linear and time invariant. I mean, I guess so that means the medium doesn't change, or the media doesn't change. But, what does it mean for the media to be linear again? Okay, okay, I see. So they say, assuming the medium is linear and time invariant, so let's just take the linear statement of that. Let's see. So linear in this case means like linear as in the term linear optics. Okay. And I guess according to Wikipedia, what do you call it? Linear optics is just a subfield of optics consisting of linear systems. A linear system is a mathematical, let's see. Sorry, let's go there. So linear optics, which means optics of linear systems. The fuck is a linear system? A linear system, at least in systems theory. Sorry, let me okay, so we'll say linear and go from there and say linear as in, I guess, as in linear optics, as in optics of linear systems. The fuck is a linear system? Let's see, from systems theory. A linear system is a mathematical model of a system based on the use of a linear operator. How exactly that works? Okay, I don't know. But, LSA, welcome back. Yeah, EM. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm done with the EM class, of course, but, you know, I'm in an AMO class, or yes, I'm in an AMO research group, right? So the O the same O in optics, you know, the same optics O is still there. So you know, you can never truly get away with it or get away from it is I guess my point. But yeah, I'm doing good. I'm just reading through this book again. There are some intro sections, and I'm kind of just trying to jog my memory. And then eventually, once I get this is annoying because maybe not annoying, but this is a lot because this is just the intro. It's not even the part I really wanted to get to quite yet. But yeah, I'm doing. I'll probably stay on campus today. Just keep working. But yeah, how are you doing? Yeah, well, actually, I do need to stop myself. I think at probably about 9 o'clock, maybe. I don't know when I'll do it today. Let's see, Sunday, right? Well, okay, actually, wait. So the place I was thinking of going to, I think is probably already closed because it's Sunday today. So, um, so I think they closed at like 7 o'clock today. So the only places I can go to tonight are the places that are open late for like a late night snack. So, well, actually, wait, no. If I can get there before 10 o'clock, I can go to McDonald's. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah, you know, maybe I'll do that. I'll leave at like 9:20 or something, and then I'll be able to go to McDonald's and get a little bit of a late dinner. Vacation. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Because sorry, what break is this? I'm trying to is this isn't well, I guess it's summer-ish for you guys, right? Or maybe it's kind of more fall now. Is that right? Because we're going into spring, which means you guys are going into fall, I assume, right? So it's summer. Oh, it's still summer. Okay. Sorry, it's still it's a little hard to make what do you call it? You know, it's a little hard. I guess I guess it's still summer for you guys, isn't it? Because I guess it's still winter for us. Although the weather is super confusing right now. So, like today we had a lot of sun and also it rained a fuck ton, or not a fuck ton, but it rained a decent amount. But it's sunny today, so I don't know what's up with the weather. The weather around here is a little weird. But got your own dorm. Oh, sorry, what do you mean by dorm in this case? Like your own room or hmm? Sorry, the when I hear dorm, I associate it with like a shared living facility for students. So I'm not quite sure. Yeah. Anyway, summer leading into fall. Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. Where you guys? I mean, I guess have fun with the vacation, right? But yeah. Although I guess speaking of maybe not vacation, but I mean, she was there on for work, if anything. But my mom went to I guess so I must be getting mixed up. I thought she was going to Ecuador to do so. I'm pretty sure that's what she said. But then at some point she went to Madagascar. And then she's back home now, and then I guess she had like some meeting to go to, some what do you call it, some training like session seminar thing to go to the other day. So I don't know what the fuck my mom's doing. Those are, I know those are all for work related stuff, but she's been flying around. So I guess speaking of vacation, right? Uh, Mendoza. Oh, wait. Isn't that the place that shows up in one of the Hitman games? Sorry, is that right? Sorry. Um, doesn't Mendoza pop up in? Yeah. It shows up in Hitman 3. I knew I recognized that name from somewhere. Okay. Cool. Yeah, watch out for any bald people with barcodes on the back of their head, right? Oh, okay, yes. So obviously I haven't played Hitman 3, but I like watching the speed runs of it. I like watching the speed runs. Um Maybe I should get it at some point cuz I know they kind of batched all the games and all three games or all the Hitman like trilogy into like one game, right? So it's, if there's a time to get into the game, it's probably now that it's all kind of batched together. Um, but I mean, I mean, I have so many games in my backlog as it is. Uh, yeah, like yeah, one of these days we'll have some time. One of these. The first thing I need to do is I just need to freaking finish this. Figure out how to get this detector running. That's the thing I've been working on for all these months, right? If I can get that done, I feel like I can reasonably take like a 1 month break and no one will care. I think everyone knows how much I've been struggling with this thing, so they probably wouldn't bat an eye if I just like disappeared off the face of the earth for a month after, after I get the detector working. But anyway, yeah, sounds good. Your own room. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, I realize it's vacation and you're at like some what family friend, I guess. Yeah, family friend's place, but it's still nice to have your own room, right? So 13-hour road trip. Yeah, that emoji. Yeah, that's a mood. Yeah, dude. Just yeah. Jeez, yeah. And I thought so. I think I mentioned before, but to go from LA to up to Berkeley is a 6-hour drive, and that's pretty rough as it is. And then in your case, it's double that, right? So yeah, no, that doesn't sound. Well, it sounds fun, but it doesn't sound painless, I suppose is the right phrase. It sounds fun, but also not painless. Yeah. Yeah, geez. Well, yeah, hopefully. Well, yeah, as long as you haven't actually like really permanently hurt yourself, that's good. Um, cool. So summer break though. Okay, then that sounds fun. Although I don't know what there's to do over there, so you'll have to clue us in for that. But But yeah, yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Good to good. Or it's good to see that you're having fun. Or maybe not yet, but I assume you will be. Yeah, he's sitting in a car for that long is, I mean, I don't think I've ever. Well, okay, no, that's not true. I've definitely sat in one place for, or definitely sat still for more than 16 hours before. But that's a special instance. I mean, like I don't know if you've been on a plane for that long. When you fly to, or at least from coming from L.A. or going from LA, if you fly to Japan, then more often than not, you can ride the jet stream and get there in, I think, like 9 or 10 hours. But on the way back, you have to fly against it. So it takes about an extra 2 hours to fly back from Japan. And this doesn't even take into account stuff like jet lag, making it a pain after you get back to the U.S. But anyway, my point is just that, again, even riding against the jet stream, it only takes 12 hours or so to get to or get back from Japan. Um, I rarely, if ever, basically 13 hours sounds rough, dude. Yeah. Some wineries. Oh, okay. So I don't, so Mendoza is known for, I mean, I guess that's obvious that's known for its wineries, but that's good. I don't know. Hopefully your parents let you sample a little bit. It seems kind of a shame if you traveled all that way, but you couldn't kind of enjoy the wine, right? Yeah. Although if I'm going to be honest, I don't really have I haven't really built up a, what do you call it? A palate for wine. Um which maybe is a good thing that I'm not just like constantly drinking myself to like sleep, right? On one hand, okay, I'm not an alcoholic, which you know, this is one of the reasons why I don't drink is because in historically in our family, on both sides of the family, um, there have been a lot of, what do you call it, heavy drinkers. So, you know, I don't know what causes it, but it's chances are if I get started on drinking, then I'll probably drink a lot. So, which is why I've just kind of been avoiding drinking. But in exchange, I unfortunately haven't really built up a palate for alcohol. So I do realize it's kind of it's that's one unfortunate downside. But next seems to the wine province. Oh, I see. Okay, I didn't really know, but I mean, I guess if I guess the game was any indication, then that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, yeah. So hopefully, you can at least stand up, stretch, and right, right, yeah, yeah, right, exactly. You have to stop at like, oh yeah. So over there, and like, are there rest stops like on the free, like what do you call it, on the highway? Like are there places you can like stop, like you can not even like fully get off the highway, but like are there like little stations that are like attached to the side of the highway that you can kind of briefly pull over on, and then like in the US and I guess in Japan, actually the ones in Japan are much nicer because the rest stops, um they'll have like full on like what do you call it, what do you call it, like food courts and stuff. So they'll have like vending machines and food courts, and some of them will even have like showers and stuff. So I guess the idea is that they're mainly for people that drive like trucks and stuff, so that they can kind of get rest. But right, yeah, like in a car, like right in a plane, you can get up, which is maybe not optimal, but at least you can do something. But right in a car, you can't really get up arbitrarily. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then, right, like in a train, you can also sleep, but in a car, I mean, most people can sleep, but at least one person needs to be awake for, until you swap drivers, right? So, yeah. Yeah, no, 13 hours sounds rough. I mean, I guess it's good that you guys know people at the destination, though. Because, imagine driving 13 hours and then have to deal with like checking into a hotel and stuff, right? That doesn't sound super fun. Middle of nowhere. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. Again, it's not like there's so Japan is really nice because one problem with Japan is that you have to pay for the highway, right? Like there's like a toll booth that you have to go through, as opposed to say like the U.S. where you can just kind of get on the highway and it's you don't have to pay anything. Um, but in exchange, so that's the trade-off, right? So like you can either have maybe not it's not a rule necessarily, but like Japan is nice in that the rest stops are like really great and actually pretty frequent, but in exchange it does cost a good chunk of money to use the freeway system. On the other hand, you have like the US where there's occasional rest stops. At most, you'll have a bathroom, or at the very least, you'll have bathrooms, but you won't have like showers. And at most, you'll have like a vending machine, but not, and then like a little park. Um, but in exchange, it's all free, right? So it's like a mansion. Yeah, sounds fun. Yeah, yeah. Don't don't get lost though. But that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Oh, this closed. Okay, so let's see who else is streaming right now. Secret room that's a private bar with yeah, don't. It can be tempting, I understand it can be tempting to go for the secret stash, but try to stay on the host's good side, right? Yeah. Plus, it sounds like again. So it sounds like you're on schedule to do a lot of wine tasting. So probably don't even need to touch the secret stash, right? You're probably on track to get a ton to try anyway. If anything, you might probably don't want to get sick of it before you go on. Before you guys go around, visiting the wineries. That's cool though. That's cool. So how did these these family friends do they own a winery or do they just kind of like the area or maybe they just like tasting wine, I guess? I don't know. Yeah, what's the story? If you know or don't mind sharing or yeah. Okay, let's close that then. How do I let's see who else is That's cool though. Crony's got something going on. Cool. Let's see. What's it doing? Oh yeah, right. So linear. What is it? Here, linear optics. Here we go. They like when they own one Mercer bodegas. I have heard of that word, bodega. I see. Okay. Oh wow. Okay, so I had the definition completely wrong. Um, in the U.S., I don't know if I'm pronouncing it. I don't is it bodega, but whatever. In the U.S., apparently a bodega is a small grocery store, especially in a Spanish-speaking neighborhood. Uh, but I think the definition that you mean is like a wine shop or wine cellar, right? And I guess in the Philippines, it's used to refer to a storehouse or storeroom. How did the definition change that much? what is the I mean, okay, so here's some etymology information down here, but I guess it says uh it comes from Greek. The Greek word for storehouse. Okay. And then I guess it's just often right. Right. Okay, I see. I see. So in that sense, it didn't really change. So I guess the real jump in definition is going to the U.S., where somehow it means a grocery store now, or somehow in the U.S., if you refer to a bodega, it refers to a grocery store then. And that's really where the weird jump in the definition came from. So if anything, this is typical America, just like butchering the definition of words, right? Like because in the this on this on when you Google the definition, right, it says specifically in the U.S., not in English, right? They don't say in English. They say in the U.S. as in in only in this country. If you use the word bodega, it means a small grocery store, and it's like, okay, so clearly this is another case of American like butchering the definition of words again. Okay, no, that's good to know. Okay, so but it's like storehouse, storeroom, and then maybe in this case specifically for wine. Okay, okay. They used to live on. Okay, that's work opportunities here. Oh, okay, okay. So they're there for work, but it also kind of fit what they liked, I guess. That's nice. That's nice. Sounds. I mean, so you said they live in a fucking like mansion, right? So it sounds like they got a really good deal, right? Maybe not a good deal, but it sounds like they're in their, they've got a lot going for them. Besides maybe the 13-hour drive to Buenos Aires, but you know, yeah. Okay, there we go. Ton of Manchester is not special. Okay. But I mean but this is but that's what I mean, right? Like so like in fact if isn't that the crazy thing, right? Like it's not special to have I guess apparently it's not special to have a mansion, which means they can just like it's not even like right, right, exactly. It's like the normal for them is just already so awesome, right? Like that's kind of the thing that is getting at. It's like you like it sounds like I don't know what job they found, but I mean it sounds like for people again that like wine, for example, or and don't mind. I don't know if it's considered the countryside, but I assume that it's not super. Like I assume the population isn't super dense there, right? Because you have just so many vineyards, I assume. Um, so if you don't mind the lack of people, then it sounds like they just got a great deal all over, right? Like big house, well mainly big house, right? And then I guess I assume they like their whatever job they moved out there for, right? So yeah, it's like their normal just sounds fucking awesome, right? Yeah, that's cool. Not cool. So I feel like doing like get some cheese. Well, actually, nah, man, I don't want it to go bad. Oh yeah, but that makes that's a good point. I imagine if they have good wine, they probably also have good cheese, don't they? Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind. Mendoza, huh? Yeah. Well, if I ever end up in Argentina, which admittedly is kind of unlikely, but you never know, right? Right? If you never know, you never know. So if I ever end up in Argentina, I'll have to remember to go to Mendoza. Maybe preferably by plane or something faster or something that's not a 13-hour drive. Or maybe I just need to hire maybe I just need to get on like a bus or something. I don't know. Maybe, do they have buses? I mean, I don't mind if it takes a long time or something, but is there like an overnight bus or something you can take? Cool. Oh, sorry, not U.S. to Argentina. I just mean from what is the international airport in Argentina? Actually, I guess because I was thinking from wherever you are, but that or so Buenos Aires, I guess, but that's a capital, right? So then I assume the international airport should be in the capital as well. I mean, I guess that's not a really good assumption, is it? Because like if you take California for example, you've got fuck ton of international airports. I mean, hell, even Japan has two. And is Narita considered part of? Is Narita in Tokyo? Oh, Narita isn't even considered in Tokyo. It's in Chiba. I don't know how I never put those two together, but um, yeah, right. So it's not. Yeah. Well, actually, here. Yeah, yeah. So, Argentina. Let's see. Airport, or I guess international airports. There are. Oh no, these are based on how many international airports are there in Argentina? But which ones are international? It looks like there's a few actually. So okay, so it really would depend on where if so this is just a hypothetical. If I were to end up in Argentina, how do I get to Mendoza? And I guess it seems like there's enough international airports in the country that it who the fuck knows. So it's probably dependent on which one I would land at if you're okay. It's so hard to pronounce these. Uh, and then take those buses that travel all around the country. Oh, there is a kind of a big bus system, I guess. Okay. Oh, okay. So it's maybe not even that difficult then. Huh. Yeah, I'll keep it in the back of my head. I don't know for what reason I would ever end up in Argentina. But I can guess a reason, but um, I think I mentioned my mom, works. I don't know how exactly she works for them, but she works for a like a charity organization type thing, and they have big international conferences, or they have a big international conference every year. I think this year is I guess next year's Ecuador, which is why she went to Ecuador to kind of take a look at the venue. I think that's how I think that's what she went to do. But and I think they did host one in Argentina several years ago. Problem with that means that they're not going to host another one in Argentina for a while. So I probably have no. And one option was to kind of tag along with her because but I guess that's not going to happen for a while. Flight straight up to Mendoza. You can really well. I mean, let's take a quick break and. Or yeah, so let's see, LAX to Mendoza. There we go. Expedia. I mean, I'm not actually going to buy it, so I guess it doesn't matter if I use Expedia. So I don't know if you use Expedia, but Expedia is one of those like travel, like what do you call it? Like travel agent type websites, except they're kind of notorious for kind of taking a big, what do you call it, cut. So, what is MDZ? MDZ, I'm assuming that's just the airport. Oh yeah, there is one that just goes directly. Okay, so that is right, just in Mendoza already, and it's, okay, it's only a few $100s. I say only, but I guess that's a lot of money. Yeah, it's totally a thing. I could just go to LAX. In fact, could I even go from like, say, let's choose somewhere even closer to me right now. Like, let's try like SFO. Is that a thing? Because that's another international airport. It's noticeably more expensive. Wow. Okay. Oh, but let me guess. The reason why this is so expensive is probably because you just go from SFO to another airport that then goes to Mendoza, right? So, or are these direct? Actually, a lot of these places, I guess, stop in Houston. Huh. Holy fuck, those are long flights. Anyway. Interesting. So a lot of these go from like wherever to Houston and then to Panama City and then to Mendoza. Interesting. I get that must have to do with the airline, right? I guess. Like whatever what airline is this? It says multiple. But which one? Tell me. Show me the airline. Okay, but I assume what's happening is that the airline probably has a hub in Houston, and then they probably have another hub in Panama City or something. But I see. That's interesting. Okay, yeah. No, so I guess you can totally just go straight there. Interesting. Straight flights. Oh, really? I mean, I suppose that's understandable, right? Like, you can't have a straight flight from every international airport to every other international airport, right? I think that's totally fair. I was just, yeah, no, it was a 24-hour flight though. I was like, whoa, that's a lot of. So I don't think it's actually a 24-hour flight. It's just that the total time you're spending on an airplane or an airport is like 24 hours or something, which again makes sense, right? Because it's fast if you go directly, but it's like, if you have to do like a what do you call it, two transfers, then it's understandable that it could take something like a day, right? Yeah, wow though. Wow. And honestly, it's kind of amazing, right? Like in one day, you can go all the way from like, say again, somewhere in the US to somewhere like the other side, like on the north-south axis, right? It only takes a day to go from like the the top, maybe like, what do you call it? Like maybe not halfway, maybe like a third to the top of like the American continent to like the bottom of it. And it only takes a day to do that. Like like that's kind of, I mean, maybe not kind of, but just it's kind of, in retrospect, it's 24 hours is a long time, but also in the context of what you're trying to do, it's like that's like nothing, right? Like, it's kind of crazy that that's just doable these days. Yeah. Like, what would the next fastest method be? I mean, let's say there hypothetically was like a bullet train that could run all the way across the continent. I bet it would still take a long time. Like, because like if you take a bullet train across Japan, I think it takes several hours, right? So if you take the length of Japan and then you multiply or you divide it by or if you divide the length from like say LA to Mendoza, I guess, and you were to take that length and divide it by how many Japans you could fit in that, like I bet that comes out to like more than a day anyway, right? So, and that's with a dedicated like bullet train system. So it's kind of amazing that you can just fly in a day. Yeah, wow. Well, anyway, I know, just kind of it's just you know in retrospect, it's kind of in 1600. Well, I mean, people probably weren't flying, right? Or I mean, I doubt anyone except super rich people were. Well, actually, wait, 1600. When was the first airplane made? Like, when was the first commercial? Yeah. Yeah, no, that's super recent, right? I was thinking like 1600. I doubt they had planes then, right? Um, but okay, so I didn't want to know when the first plane was made. I want to know when the first airline formed. Yeah. So the first airline was established in 1914. Who is this? What airline is this? Oh, it's some like local thing in New York. Some like local airline in New York. Interesting. Ah, they use seaplanes. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I guess the first airline. Um. Oh, well, no, but it says Florida. Or no, no, no. Okay, so the airline in the St. Petersburg Tampa airboat line. Um, and I guess the idea is that they used like what do you call it? Like a seaplane. Hence the name, what do you call it? St. Petersburg Tampa airboat line. Interesting. Okay. Huh. The more you know. Yeah. Yeah, but like I mean, yeah, it only takes a day. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, crazy in both ways. Crazy in that it takes that much time, but also crazy that it only takes that much time. Yeah. 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 I mean, and I guess I suppose it's not entirely an unreasonable thought. It's just kind of in retrospect, it's kind of amazing that where society is, right? Where if you do want to just go across, you know, vertically across the continent, then it's just like, oh yeah, just get a plane. Whew. One zip line that goes from California. Wait. I think I know that one, right? Let's see. California, Atlanta zip line. Is that? It's not contiguous though, right? But there's like a thing you could. There's like a, what do you call it? What are the longest zip lines in the world? Yeah, but there's a super long one, right? Like, well, no. So there's no actual zip line that does that. I just mean that there is a super long zip line in. I don't think it's in California though, right? I don't, because the longest ones I think are all overseas. Yeah. The thing that although let's see, California to Atlanta. You wrote Atlanta, right? Like, so that's Georgia. Okay. I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of something that goes all the way down to. Anyway, yeah, no. I don't think California doesn't have a lot of super long zip lines, but in terms of long treks of land that we have the whole like mission system that goes, along the west coast, right? So I thought you were talking about that and then just joking about the zip line thing. Sorry, but actually, how far does that go? Let's see. Well, yeah, I'm doing. Let's see. So California mission. How far does that actually go? I guess it only goes through California. I thought it went further down into Mexico. Huh. I mean, I guess that does make sense. Huh. Uh, Atlanta. I don't think there's a. Is Atlanta a state? I thought Atlanta was the capital of Georgia. Yeah. Well, unless you're thinking of a different Atlanta. Sorry, we might be thinking of different things because there are multiple Atlantas. It's just sorry when you say Atlanta in the context of the U.S., I think most people default to the state or the capital of the state of Georgia. Um, but you might be talking about a different Atlanta, in which case I don't actually know what you're talking about. uh, um, yeah. I didn't do super well in geography though, so that did take a second. Yeah. No, I thought there was a big super long zip line in California though, and I guess I must be remembering wrong because I looked up, like California zip line and I couldn't find anything about well, here's the longest zip line in California, but I don't think this one's actually that long. Yeah. Able to say all 50 states? Not anymore. In elementary school, they teach you a song for memorizing all the states. And admittedly, I don't fucking remember the song. I don't even know how it goes. Um so I'm trying to remember right now. Fuck, I don't remember how the song goes. Shit, wait. No, wait. I don't want to deal with it right now, to be honest. I never had it memorized, which, explains a lot, but yeah, like what states can I say? So the only reason why I know that, or maybe not the only reason, but the main reason why Atlanta being the capital of Georgia being fresh on my mind is because again, my mom went to again, this has to do with the charity organization she's part of, but they had a convention in Atlanta recently, if I remember correctly. Although I say recently, but I think it was a few years ago. But that's the only reason why I know what where Atlanta is because she had to go do that. Let's see. So, uh, Seattle is the capital of Washington. I'm just gonna go off from the West Coast. And then below that's Oregon, but what is the capital of Oregon? Uh, I don't know what the capital of Oregon is, but then there's California, and then I guess next to us we've got Nevada, which let's see, the capital of Nevada is or okay, right. So California's capital is obviously Sacramento, okay, but then next to us we've got Nevada, which let's see, capital of Nevada. Shit, I don't know what the capital of Nevada is either. Um, and then I guess Nevada and you got like Arizona and is the capital of Arizona Phoenix? Is that right? It's probably something like Phoenix. I can't remember. And then somewhere around there, I guess you must also have New Mexico. and I think there's a fourth one, right? And then I think Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, and like there's a fourth one, right? And they all kind of like share a border or something, or share like a corner or something. I can't remember. What is the fourth one? Yeah, my geography is super spotty. Sorry. Oh, Monarsy, welcome back. Yeah, how's well, I guess hopefully you're doing all right. It sounds like Murphy's Law also kind of hit you pretty hard. Um a lot going on. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah. Yeah, hang in there. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, so LSAO was just asking about if I'm able to say all 50 states or even some of them. So I was just kind of going from the West Coast and, going eastwards. Um but I think I'm like, there's spotty stuff like, okay, so I think I can identify where Idaho is, and I think I can identify where uh Virginia and West Virginia are. And I know where Florida is, and I know where I think I can get Maine and let's see. But like I'm like, where the fuck is like Maryland? I know Maryland and like there's a jumble of a few there, right? And it's just like uh thinking about it earlier brought up in the past. Well, I've mumbled so much shit in the past. I don't know which one you're talking about. Sorry. Yeah. I I say just so much stuff. Don't take me too seriously. I'm gonna be honest. But I'm just needing someone to talk to. Uh, let's see. I feel like there's a lot of those people. So I'm not sure which specific one, but I must have mentioned someone like that. Like it could be anyone. Uh, oh, wait. Okay, I think I know which person you're talking about. Uh, that's not me. Yeah, I feel like I can meet several people like that, but it must be one of them. Okay, yeah. Sorry, what about them? Um, yeah, if it's the person that I'm thinking of, then they don't really talk to me anymore, which I assume means that they've got their life in order. But anyway, yeah, kind of person too. Well, and so, like I think, I don't want to be a broken record because I assume if we've talked about this before, then I've mentioned it before. But if I brought that person up, I probably also mentioned that I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, right? So, and I think, it's one of those things where I probably also mentioned this before too, so I won't want to be a broken record again. And you can continue with your what you were gonna say, but just that, I don't think it's a problem, or I don't think it's inherently a bad thing. I mean, in fact, it might be kind of a good thing, but also, it's an extreme. But I imagine that everyone has a little bit of something like that, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if you felt that way, and um, that doesn't make it a good or bad thing. It's just an observation, right? So anyway, whatever you were gonna continue on saying, um, like I the if this is, I think, the person that I'm thinking of, or that I must have been thinking of, um, then yeah. I mean, I don't think humanity would develop society, or I don't think humanity would develop language or society if at the core, people didn't feel like that to some degree, right? Um, right? like, why would we develop language if we didn't need to talk to people, right? Why would we develop like philosophy if we didn't need to, construct these ideas and such, right? So I think everyone probably has that to some degree. Maybe some people more than others, and some people less than others. I think that's probably where the whole nature versus nurture aspect comes into play, right? But I think it's probably there for most people to some capacities. It's just a matter of to what degree it's expressed, talk to someone who really messes with me. And again, like that's not entirely strange, right? Like you look at, people in, well, I mean, there's a reason why complete isolation is treated as punishment and in some cases torture for, like prison inmates, right? There's a reason why total isolation is used as a punishment for right. So I mean, I think to what degree you feel that aside, I don't think it's too unreasonable, right? Like it's not unreasonable to feel that way is just the point that I'm getting at. It's um yeah. Yeah, again, like why would people learn to communicate if not because they desire to communicate, right? Like it's it's sorry, not to like belittle whatever issues you have going on, but just more of a statement that it's understandable, like it's setting aside whether it's, or I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm decoupling uh it being strange from it being reasonable or not, like I think it's reasonable to feel that way, or sorry, no, that's not the right way I want to say. I guess I'm just kind of decoupling the idea of whether it's what is the word? What are the words I'm trying to use? I guess what I'm saying is, um, I think it's reasonable to feel that way, but I'm not. But like a lot of people, or sorry, in some cases, people use the fact that something is reasonable to then say, therefore you shouldn't worry about it, or therefore, like they'll use reasonable or something being reasonable as a reason to kind of take away from the severity of it. And it's like, that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm just saying is that I can see the flow, like I see people just going about their lives, right? And I can see why, you know, you people would come to feel that way, right? And this isn't to say that therefore they shouldn't feel that way. This is just to say that I can see how such a an identity would develop, right? Um, so just to say that, if you are, I think it's understandable. I guess that's really the core of it, right? It's understandable. Like I don't think it's weird. Of course, that doesn't help you, right? Like it doesn't matter if something, you can understand something, you still feel, right? Like you still feel the way you feel. So, and I think that's totally, again, understandable. So 12 hours, 2 hours of sleep. Well, maybe you need some sleep first. But, I guess I think one thing I would caution though is that and this is kind of why I have a little bit of an issue with talking about all these things. Um we talked, I think we talked before about how words, or the, putting something into words is very powerful, and therefore in some sense it's a little dangerous. Uh, and in the same way, I do, I think it's good to kind of reflect on yourself and, maybe consider that maybe you are like that person that I was talking about. But also I would watch out because um, it's you're more inclined to think that because that idea already exists in your head versus, you know something else because you haven't thought of the idea yet. So just the mere fact that we've talked about that person before could sort of kind of, what do you call it, kind of push you into thinking that, even though it might not be the case. So you know what I mean? This is the issue with really just communication, right? It's but I think it's good to reflect and maybe consider that as an option, and that's the reason why I had brought it up before. But just again, this is just a reminder that you know to not, like it's a rolling ball, right? Like it can gain momentum very easily. So go ahead and roll the ball a little bit and just kind of, what do you call it? Just you can. I think there's value in pondering that or considering that as a possibility. Hence why I must have brought it up in the past. I mean, I can't be sure because you have to ask past me why they brought it up, but can't really do that anymore. But only past me really knows why I brought it up at the time. But I'm assuming I brought it up because, I brought it up for the sake of consideration. But again, just make sure you don't, get too caught up in that thought because it's, again, just speculation, right? That's all it is. I think I think in this case, I don't know if you can sleep. I would recommend sleeping, but you also said that you're kind of caffeinated right now, so I understand that it's not super easy to sleep right now. So that's fair. But yeah, again, I think it's worth considering that. Or maybe not, or so I guess what I mean to say is it's worth considering to what degree you're like that person. Like, are you one to one totally like this person that I mentioned, or are you just sort of, right? I think realistically you're probably more sort of like them than totally like them. And I think, again, it's a spectrum, right? It's not really sure where everyone sits in the spectrum, but yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't want to dump too much on your plate right now because I understand you're probably kind of tired. But uh, cool. Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, it's a you're a person, right? So if you were born exactly like this person, like one to one, then for sure we could say you're exactly like that person. But like, I don't know you, so by 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 or I mean, I guess I've never like physically met you, so just by virtue of that, I know you're not that person, right? So 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 that should probably say enough. Would you like to? Um, that's an interesting point. I think the only people that and that's a good point because that brings up the question of like, people have different philosophies towards VTubing, right? And I think the stance I like is that a VTuber is a VTuber, right? So yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, no, I think the answer is whether I'd want to or not is not the right question, right? I think the right question is should I? And I think the answer there is definitely no. Um, because if to kind of flip the question around, if the answer was yes, like if I wanted to be in a situation such that the answer is yes, then I shouldn't be a VTuber. I should just be like a regular YouTuber then, right? So I think there are lines that need to be kind of in some sense enforced if I'm going to just stay a VTuber. Um, but I suppose the outlier to that is if if you come to this side of the screen, so to speak. So like VTubers, like if we're talking very meta, have to meet the staff that they work with, right? So if you were to be, if you were to come to the staff side of things, or like what do you call it, either become a VTuber or be involved in either the content creation side of VTubing, then yeah. But otherwise, I think it's important to keep a line there, especially because, I mean, we talked about how I don't really like the word again we mentioned, but parasocial interaction, right? And it's like, um, that thing is such again, setting aside the fact that I don't really like that word, it is a issue in the communities, so it'd be a little bit, it'd be a little bit irresponsible of me to just totally say, what the fuck, who cares? Party it, whatever, show up or be square, like, you know what I mean? Um, yeah. So if I'm being really honest, I think there are kind of ways around it. I think I don't know how much of Sea Dog VA's content you watch, but he's talked before about how, like, if he's basically just a regular, no, not a regular VTuber, but he's a YouTuber, and well, he's a YouTuber, right? Sea Dog VA is a YouTuber. Uh, was it Bubby or whatever is a VTuber, right? There's a separation there that he does enforce, and and even then, he's mentioned before how he kind of dislikes people finding him in real life when he's doing like VODs, and say, like, I think he was doing a VOD in Japan, and there are multiple cases where people sought him out. There are obviously cases of people, accidentally noticing him, but there were only a handful or there were some number of cases where people actively sought him out, like the facility he was visiting, and kind of he was discussing the difficulties of that. Um, yeah, yeah. Admittedly, I haven't given it much thought, but I probably should at some point now that you mention it. Yeah. Well, I'll worry about it once I become famous enough for it to be a problem. I guess that's the conclusion. I'm not famous enough for it to matter at the moment, so yeah. But once that happens, yeah. Until then, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. See, so um, in terms of, like, so here's the real answer. I don't think I'd go out of my way to visit any single viewer, because that's just a fucking waste of money. Sorry. Like, it doesn't matter if they're just local. It's just a fucking waste of money. Um, but I always thought, like I think I mentioned before, like, wouldn't it be cool for, like to do like a VTuber, like, hiking or camping meetup or something? Um, I mentioned this before, right? Like, wouldn't it be cool if it was like camp, like simultaneous, like multiple groups of camp that go camping or something? Like, I think that would be really fun, because like summer, you have like maybe like three main groups of, like, maybe like a dozen or so people, and they all respectively go camp. Obviously the VTuber would be in one of those groups or something, but you all respectively go camping, and you have like a screen that like shows what everyone else is doing, and you can, like, virtual camping, except in like an offline meetup camping type thing is what I mean. Like, I think that would be really cool, right? Like, it can be camping, it could be like you go cycling or something, or like hiking, like it could be any one of those things, but like, or like or even, here's the one I think would work really well: bowling. You do an offline bowling meetup thing, except you use cameras to, like, link everyone together. So, like, you have a big screen, and you'll have your group of, like, say 8 people or so that went bowling, but then through the screen you can see the other group and stuff like that. Like, I think that would be really fun, or like really cool. How do you facilitate that as a VTuber is the question. But see, like, stuff like that I think would be really cool. Just like a like a yeah, yeah, just like it's like a friend group, except between, like, the viewers, and then you can somehow get the streamer in there, right? How do you get the streamer in there in that case? I don't know. Um, I don't know what the logistics of that would be. Like maybe, like, as a streamer, then do you just rent out a bowling, what do you call it, like a bowling alley or something, or I mean, I guess maybe that's the option, right? Like you rent out a bowling alley and then everyone just shows up and then, the streamer, you just have to get like a projector or something, right? And put like the VTuber on it or something. Um, and then it can be like a whole competition or something, right? Like I think like stuff like that would be really cool though, which is why when people say like, oh, absolutely no meetups between the VTuber and the viewers. I think while I understand that a line needs to be drawn, I feel like it's a missed opportunity, you know? Um well then it should just be a group call on stream because like otherwise. But yeah. But again, I think that's one of those things where you have to draw. I mean, again, you can all become VTubers, and then I think it'd be, well, I don't know. I'll have to. I think something like that could be facilitated, but I guess my stream isn't really super appropriate for that because, well, I mean, actually, no, that's not true. Because the problem with my stream is that I just haven't found a lot of other VTubers that do studying. But if there were, then, there's nothing, it would be totally fine to just stream, right? Because, or to do like a group, like a study collab. I don't know how, yeah. Like, I don't think they're here right now, but I was actually kind of hoping Chizuru-san could be a potential, uh, don't tell them I said this for the record. Just don't. I don't want to. I don't know what their their coursework is right now, and I don't want to bother them. But I was one hope I did have was that maybe they would do. First of all, I think our studying hours just didn't really line up super well, so that's that. But I was kind of hoping that we could do like a collab at some point. It's kind of too late for that, but whatever. Um, but but yeah, like so tired, but dude, I think you need to like I don't know. I think you need to just go watch some like anime or something. Just watch like some like dumbass like just some like garbage anime that's just like yeah, okay, never mind. But yeah, Isekai OG. Actually, if you want really garbage anime that's actually kind of funny to watch, watch watch Mao Gakuin, the like the Misfit at Demon Academy or something. Um that uh yeah, specifically the Misfit at Demon Academy or something like that. I think it's Demon Academy. But that show is just or actually wait. Have you watched Eminence in Shadow? That's the one you should watch in terms of like just it's hilarious but all and just like totally stupid but like no, watch Eminence in Shadow. No, seriously, it's hilarious. It's actually watch it with headphones. This isn't this. I'm not. This is not because it's like not safe for work, but because there are a couple of moments. There are a couple moments in Eminence in Shadow you have to you have to listen to it with headphones on. Like it's not even like a fan service thing. It's like there are a couple moments where you have to be wearing headphones in Eminence in Shadow. You just gotta. But anyway, Eminence in Shadow that is I gotta say Eminence in Shadow is like top tier let me link it or sorry actually I don't know how do you spell eminence. Eminence in Shadow. It's 1M. Okay. It's this show. I'll give you the wiki for it. Actually, that'll spoil. Let me just give you the name. I'll say, oh yeah, totally. Right. Yeah. Let us know how it goes. Let us know how it goes. Don't worry about getting us anything. but but yeah, have fun. Make sure to take a bunch of pictures. I mean, don't have to, of course, but have fun. Just try to recover from that road trip, dude. Yeah, just focus on that. Well, we'll catch you later. Yeah, let's go to. But yeah, Monarchy, the Eminence in Shadow, or I guess it's the Eminence in Shadow. But this show is so fucking hilarious. Yeah. Anyway. It's amazing. So Eminence in Shadow I think is one of those shows you can kind of watch just brain dead and it's just yeah. There's no I mean there is a plot, but it's you can turn your brain off for the plot. In fact, the thing about the plot is that the protagonist doesn't even pay attention to the fucking plot. So it's great. It's I'm so admittedly I've never tried to watch Eminence in Shadow when I'm like just like brain dead, but like, it's so fun, and you really don't need to worry too much about the show. Like the show doesn't take itself seriously, or rather, I guess the protagonist doesn't take himself seriously. But anyway, um, it's great. Eminence and Shadow is like I think this season. Let me think. What else? What else is going on this season for anime? I think Eminence and Shadow for last season and this season I think are probably like my top pick. I don't know if there's anything that really tops it. Last season actually there was G Witch. So I guess G Witch was also very good. But this season so far I want to say Eminence and Shadow is it. That's the pick. Admittedly, there's some promising ones from this season I haven't watched yet. Um, but Eminence and Shadow is just so hilarious. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it. Just so if oh that's the problem. 'Cause Eminence and Shadow there's is so like stupid that you can spoil it. It's still great. But anyway. Um, yeah. Like again the show doesn't take itself seriously, so you can so like I got spoiled for some plot points before, but like it didn't matter because it was just hilarious. Anyway, yeah, yeah, so yeah, yeah, just watch some anime or whatever, and chill out, and try to, yeah. Again, it sounds like you've got a lot of stuff going on, so I think right now just focus on kind of, getting through it, right? Um, yeah. Actually, I didn't get a drink. I'm gonna play in your Discord server about that. You're not gonna complain. You're gonna be like, holy shit, Eminence and Shadow, like anime of the season. You're gonna see why it's so great. You're gonna be like, oh man, I want to be like the main character. I want to be the Eminence and Shadow. Anyway, I'm such. Oh, you think it's that easy to become the Eminence and Shadow, man? You think it's that easy? Actually, I hear the manga is actually better. Or not better, but I hear the manga is just like an extra tier of like more hilarious. So, um, yeah. But yeah. Yeah, sorry. I know you don't watch a lot of anime, but um so normally I'd like to recommend something else, um but I don't know anything except anime. That's the problem. Rundown of what to expect. So so I guess the first thing is what the fuck is the Eminence and Shadow? Um the concept of the Eminence and Shadow is like the Eminence and Shadow is just the phrase for will there be shadows? So like the main character wants to be the Eminence and Shadow, which is supposed to be a person this like what do you call it? Like the what do you, not like the anti-hero, like the Batman basically. He wants to be basically Batman is I guess the point. Like he wants to be this like Batman except just like overpowered Batman essentially. and and the show is him basically being the bat. Exactly, he wants to be the Batman of Batmans. Although, except he wants to be Batman, except not like brooding, but more just like mysterious and cool. And he's the big, he's the mastermind that lurks behind, lurks within the shadows. And like he wants to be that. He wants to be like that's basically the point, right? He wants to be the mastermind that's behind, like, but not like evil, right? Like he wants to just be like the anti-hero mastermind overpowered guy that's sitting behind the veil, like pulling all the strings, like that's what the main character wants to be. And I don't want to say anything else besides that. Yeah. And but also it's an isekai. I do have to say that first because I know some people don't like that. It's an isekai, so there is isekai shenanigans, but that's what makes it all the more funny, I guess. But remember, love terror. That's what I mean. Like it's such a perfect fit because isekai it just becomes just exactly. It's like it's so stupid. It's like it's stupid, but it works because they don't take themselves seriously, right? Like anyway, so yeah, so I guess just yeah, and like I guess what I will say is again, so he wants to become like this mastermind, the Batman, so to speak, and two, he takes becoming the Eminence in Shadow um seriously. He takes that very seriously. He doesn't take anything else seriously, but he takes being the Eminence in Shadow and being the Eminence in Shadow. He takes that and only that very seriously. Is I guess my point. And I think that's all you really need to know to enjoy the show. Yeah. And part of the reason why I like the show is because I feel like he has so many good points. Like, and I feel like he has to have those good points because he's supposed to be the Eminence in Shadow, right? He's supposed to be this cool guy and he's like this mastermind. So of course he's supposed to have this what do you call it? Anyway, just once you get to the scene, there's a hot spring scene. Let me put it that way. There's a hot spring scene in Eminence in Shadow. If you ever get to that, let me know because there is something I want to say about that scene that I really liked. Um, how's G-Witch? G-Witch was a ride. G-Witch was a ride. Sorry. So the hot spring scene um, is actually kind of. I actually like how they did it, but it might disappoint you, is what I will say. As for G-Witch again, as I said, was a ride. I cannot wait for season 2. I mean, I have to, but like G-Witch was holy shit. I guess that's what they mean by it turned into Gundam at the end because it apparently, again, I don't really know because I haven't really ever fully watched Gundam or a Gundam show, but apparently it really turned into Gundam at the end. Yeah, I mean I know what happened, but and I don't know if that's necessarily what they mean by it turned into Gundam, but apparently it turned into Gundam at the end, and it certainly was a ride at the end. So the pairing, oh, if you're in it for the pairing, you gotta watch to the end. You gotta watch to the last episode, and you gotta watch to after the credits, or sorry, not after the credits, after the ending theme for the last episode, because there is one scene at the very, very end, at the very last episode, that you have to watch. Some people apparently missed it, and they missed out, maybe for good reason, but there is an after credits at the end of the last episode, so and that needs to be watched. I guess it's called a C part in terms of like what do you call it? Um, it's not really a plot twist. actually. So the C part of the last episode isn't actually a plot twist, um, but rather, I guess. Well, so that's the thing. The C part makes the A part make a lot of sense. So you have to watch it. Is I guess my point. Because until if you stop at the B part, like before the ending theme, it's like, well, why did they do that at the beginning of the last episode? But then C part comes in and it's like, oh, that's why. Like, so you have to watch it. It makes sense, trust me. But unfortunately, it's not really a plot twist. Or I mean, I suppose you could see it as a plot twist. People were surprised, I suppose, but I don't know if I'd call it a plot twist. Time just watch it. It's not a time skip though, what I will say. It's not a time skip, but you gotta watch it. You'll see what I mean. Yeah. I'm expecting season 2 to be a time skip though, because I don't know actually, man. I don't know. You watch it and then let me know. But the whole first half of the last episode makes sense thanks to the last part of it. So don't miss the last part of the last episode is I guess what I will say. Yeah, G Witch was good. G Witch was good. Yeah, March, huh? We're almost at March. Yeah, next season's in March sometime. I can't remember. It's well, basically it's a spring. Season 2 is spring, so we're almost there. But the 2 hour nap from from like it was a while ago, right? Or I don't know when. Sorry, what do you mean 2 hour nap for today? Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I actually took the 2 hour nap in the morning, so yeah. Although I should have had some coffee because I'm getting kind of groggy. It's so slow in getting through this textbook. Oh! I thought you meant me because I'm usually late by like 2 hours. Okay, okay. Um, yeah, no, yeah. What happened, man? Okay. Yeah. Tries to sleep between work. Okay. What do you mean between work? Yeah, I don't know. 2 hours is an awkward amount of time for me to sleep. I feel like if I sleep, what is it, like 20 minutes? I won't feel good, but at least it'll rest my eyes. And then otherwise I have to sleep, I think, at least like 3 or 4 hours to really feel rested. So coffee. Oh, okay. A unfortunately timed caffeine shot, I guess. Or maybe fortunately, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was timed well. I don't know. Yeah. Sorry, let me check this real quick. Gotta make sure to get a COVID test tomorrow too. There's the hospital. That's the stuff that they give to the staff to keep them awake all day, right? I guess. And what, you've never had this before, or I don't know. Like do you usually get this 3 a.m. the next day? Yeah. Now I always wondered how hospital staff stay awake so long. And it's like, well, it must be the coffee. Jeez, yeah. Was it like a quadruple shot like espresso or something? Um, so on days off. I mean, I think that's healthy, right? Like the other day, I actually it was Friday, I guess. I didn't have a coffee. Um, And man, I felt like shit the entire day. I've been having a lot of coffee recently, so um so super sad. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. It was a triple shot. Oh shit. Wait, you guys have a coffee or sorry, you guys have a Starbucks in the hospital? That sounds expensive, honestly. Oh, it's canned. Oh, okay, okay. That makes sense. I was like, yeah, geez, yeah. I mean, at some point, like, what's stopping from people from like just going to the pharmacy and getting like caffeine pills, right? I mean, obviously they can't, sell it like that, but um, right, like at that point, like, I won't be surprised if there was just like a jar of caffeine pills, like, just like free to take however many you need. Jeez, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I think I've mentioned before, like I want to try to go into neuroscience somehow. But one thing that makes me hesitate is that, neuroscience has a lot of, you know, like it's much closer to like what do you call it? Like medicine than say physics, right? And I worry about, the type of hospital hours. Like if I have to go from like neuro to like, like say a technician in like a hospital or something, I kind of shudder to imagine what the work hours are like. So yeah, I know it sounds like rough work, man. You guys definitely have your work cut out for you. 12 hours is fun. Well, I mean, I sure hope there's overtime because otherwise that don't sound super fun. Oh, yeah, I mean, it'd be great if there were a healthier way of doing it, but I mean, there just isn't, right? Like, I mean, from what I understand, hospitals are basically all understaffed basically all the time, right? So, yeah, so what do you do, right? I mean, I suppose I sort of know. Um, like at the end of the day, right? It's to, you got to incentivize doing that kind of work, but yeah. Traffic, yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like, I think and this is the reason why, right? Like, it's most people would trade, a shorter weekend for a reasonable, like work schedule. um, yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's like, what do you do, right? Because you can't really like it's a necessary, you know, what do you call it? Hospitals are necessary, right? So it's not like you can just say, oh, everyone just leave after 5 p.m., right? Um, yeah. I mean, I don't know if there is a some room for optimization in terms of like, hospital like load balancing and stuff. Like is I wonder how much more manageable the work becomes if there were some like, national network of hospital like, what do you call it? Utilization and you could somehow say, you know, transfer certain people to other places faster or something. Like I don't even think that's a bottleneck really, right? I mean, obviously there are have more heavily utilized hospitals and less heavily utilized ones and stuff, but it's I doubt it's when the situation is such that that's the main problem, right? So like, what do you do? Um, like in some sense, from a say an IT perspective, I read a some headline the other day about some hospital taking like 3 months to recover from a systems outage because all their systems were legacy and they just all kind of broke. Um, but like is there a systems related thing that needs to be optimized or that could be optimized? I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, it's all like a staffing issue, right? So, but staffing issue is typically a budget issue, right? I'm sure hospitals would hire more people if they could. Um, well, if they could financially justify it. So it becomes a budget issue. But then where do you get the budget, right? So yeah, I don't know. Like at least you get very acquainted with caffeine. Oh, geez. I mean, whatever. I mean, if you say so, man. Yeah. Like, I wonder, like, is the solution to right? Like, one way you can get a hospital to be a little bit more. Um, I actually no. I guess it's the other way around. I was gonna say just build more universities that have like nursing and like or that have like an integrated hospital. But I guess that works the other way around, right? Because typically the way that works is that you have the hospital, well, you have the university slash hospital, but the hospital is what makes the university money, not the other way around, right? So, yeah, what do you do? I don't know. I mean, I guess this is one of those things where, like, at the end of the day, it does seem like money. Everyone needs more money. Not in a bad way, of course, just that uh, our nurses somehow. I imagine that's probably still the case, right? Because from what I understand, there was a little bit of or not a little bit, but a quite decent shortage going into COVID, and then um, coming out. I know I definitely heard many cases. Again, I don't know how severe it is, but I'd heard that there was a decent number of former nurses who just kind of you know didn't go back to their workplace after COVID. So like just because they were like treated like shit. So, and I imagine that's probably not a rare, you know, well, I mean, maybe it's a rare occurrence, but um, or at the very least, it's probably an uncommon thing. But yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I think I've I did take that one nursing class in community college, and I remember they were talking about how enrollment in their program was dropping and this was before COVID, right? This was about a year or two before COVID. Um, so at least in their department, enrollment was a little down year over year or so. I don't know what caused that specifically, but so I imagine between COVID and then potentially an overall decrease in incoming nurses, it's probably not a good situation. Yeah. Did you hear? Do you know anything about why you guys might are kind of short staffed or? Yeah. Yeah, what do you do? I don't know. Like, I mean, I suppose just, I mean, I'm not saying this is something that needs to be fixed, but to me, it is a little bit strange that something as fundamental as, or something as critical, I suppose, as like hospital staffing isn't something that, like it's just so critical that I don't, I guess regardless of whether or not I understand, I would wish that it's one of like I feel like there's a lot of things in that can be kind of or there's a handful of things right in the world that are just not a problem, right? Like I think one thing, for example, what I'll say is like say internet. Uh, like we don't worry about the internet really breaking, right? Like we worry about like okay, the line that goes to our house breaks or something, and then whatever company needs to come by and fix it. But we don't worry about like hey, we got disconnected from like all of Asia, right? Um, and it's I don't know the logistics of that. I mean, I do know that certain telecom companies buy or pay for undersea cables and stuff to connect continents and so on and so forth. But I do wish. like hospital staffing was one of those things where we just as a regular person didn't need to worry about, right? Like and I guess maybe the layperson probably doesn't worry about how well staffed their local hospital is, but it's probably a much more pertinent issue to them than how well maintained you know the undersea cables that connect them to fucking TikTok servers or whatever it is, right? Um, so you wouldn't, it would be not, like regardless of if it's understandable or not, or whether regardless of what it should be, it would be nice if stuff like that, like hospital staffing uh weren't an issue. Coming in and out, okay. Serving more high positions, so decks can go on. We don't allow per diems. A manager's decision. I mean, I suppose I can understand that, because part time I can understand is maybe a little unreliable, or at the very least, if they quit, then you lose that experience with them. Of course, if someone gets promoted, you kind of lose that experience anyway, or you lose that experienced person anyway. So, um, yeah. So I understand, but yeah, I don't know. It's fine. I mean, I guess if you say so. Yeah, I guess I guess it's picking your poison, right? Oh shit! Wait, it's past. Shit! I wanted to go to McDonald's and get some dinner, but it's too late. I can't walk there fast enough. It's okay. I guess I could try installing the app. I just noticed what time it was. Damn it. No, it's chill. It's a sign that I shouldn't be eating McDonald's. But what else is there? Uh, yeah, maybe I should just try installing the app because I know with the app they let you do remote like pickup. I just don't want to type in my credit card though. McDonald's. There's a burger place that I could go to instead. Oh, and this online listing is wrong. It says closes at 12 a.m., which is true, but you can't walk in until. Uh, oh, suspect wanted in McDonald's robbery. Where is this? Oh, it's Memphis. Okay. Nowhere near us. That's good. Maybe that's the universe's way of saying don't go to McDonald's today. Yeah, where will I go? I don't know. I think I should go soon though because things are going to start closing. If I think by 10 o'clock actually on Sundays already most stuff is actually already closed, but there's probably a handful of places still open. I probably should get going. Um, yeah. Okay. I mean, again, if you say so, it's yeah. Sometimes I think about like if I could like make my own city, what would I do? Well, first of all, the first thing was like, okay, if I could make my own house, what would I do, right? And I have a few ideas. I think one thing is all hallways should have some sort of like railing, like on the side to like put your hand on. I feel like railing is something that I don't see very often in houses, but it's just like it's useful. Like if you're carrying a box and you need to pause briefly, you can just put the box against the rail and kind of just hold it with one hand while you rest, for example. Um, for the elderly or people that are disabled, or have like mobility issues, they can use the railing to get around, right? Um, and they're just, it's just like it's practical. If you're going down the stairs, you expect there to be a rail. Sometimes there isn't a rail. I think that's really stupid, but stuff like that. Like I feel like so like in my house, if I ever build a house, I'm putting in railing everywhere. Also, I'm gonna put cable, what do you call it? Cable trays along the ceiling, so you can like for like passing like just wiring around the entire building. Like I don't think wiring should go into walls if possible because like sure it's exposed, but also I can't think of how many, I've several times already I've needed to like wire like Ethernet or like power to a random place. And if there were just a freaking cable tray that just went across the entire building, I would not have to go up into the ceiling and drag an Ethernet cable across the house, right? Like, but like, sorry, as an extension of that, I'm like, like if you were to build your own or set up your own like town or city, like it'd be nice to have like fiber to every building, right? You know, like I think fiber to every building, definitely landlines, which I know is kind of stupid, but also like I think landlines are just convenient, right? Just as like a, you know, um, like, yeah. I would try to do, you know, public transit, but probably doing it with a bus first. So like high speed bus. And then after transit routes are established, go from a high speed bus uh to rail, right? Like that's definitely what I'd do. So like it'd be a two step system to go from high speed bus to high speed rail, right? And then um yeah. Anyway, it's just kind of me just thinking to myself, but it's just yeah. And again, I don't quite know what I know, right? Because it's not like I've ever done city planning, so it's what the fuck do I know, right? But I just wish things were more convenient. Yeah. Yeah. And actually, one thing I don't know how a city could do this, but it'd be nice if, as like an entire city, you could do something like do bulk like I mean, I guess you'd have to, and that's a little bit too communist maybe, but like I wish there was a system where you could like as an entire city be like, okay, you know, like household A wants, you know, 10 loaves of bread, you know, like consistently every month or something. So and then household B has like needs 5 and household C needs another 5. So let's just like put out an order for 20 um and then, you know, and then just get like a discount for buying in bulk. I wish there was just like an organized system for like, you know, that. I mean, I guess that's something you should organize with your neighbors, but um you know, like if like, you know, the Costco makes everything so much cheaper. What if you could get Costco level prices by just like working with your neighbors to like just buy a certain amount. And it wouldn't be like you have to buy everything for the month, right? You could just say like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, like you only need, you know, like just a straight line. Didn't people try that, or isn't that something that's proposed currently in like somewhere in the Middle East? I think it's like literally an actual line, like a really long. Yeah, yeah. No, I think I saw the video. I was like, oh man, that sounds like a disaster. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But and I think other things like for example, I would probably, you know, um, I like in Japan. There's a lot of like what do you call it? Like there's a lot of intersections obviously, but there's many like what do you call it, bridges that go over intersections and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, like I think it's probably cheaper to do that than to make all the cars run overhead. So like if you have to have, you know, roads and stuff, I'd probably make them, well, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I think personally I would probably try to make everything public transit. So I was trying to think like what is like something that could function like a bus or but like well I know I think yeah maybe even just doing like an electric bicycle standard issue for every household or something, right? Like and then and then just have a so like maybe the city center is all like commuter based. So um and they could have just like a fuck ton of charging stations and stuff and it's all bicycle. Which maybe raises an accessibility issue, so that's not a perfect solution. But then maybe you have like multiple hubs like that, and between the hubs you just run like buses or something. Whereas a hub, I don't know, but that's why you start with like buses, right? Um, one long civilized megastructure versus a fire. The fire just like cuts off one side from the other, right? Yeah, I thought that was, you know, and it's not like I don't disagree with the design. I mean, I guess I think it's you know it's funny to take like shots at, but like you know I think in terms of like the design has merits. It's just the downsides just stack up way more than the merits, right? But um, yeah, I mean, like, honestly, if you could do that, I think it'd be kind of cool, right? Like, if you could somehow make an entire, like, long city, like, somehow sustainable. Like, honestly, it sounds kind of cool, if anything. Um, but, I mean, people have trouble with regular cities as it is. Adding the logistical nightmare of making it horizontal would be like, uh, at the talk. Well, there's a reason why people have proposed it multiple times and it's never worked out, right? So, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I don't know what YouTuber said this, but I remember one mentioned that like the whole like horizontal like mega city thing is basically a highway, right? Because the whole point is like, oh, you have like rail and it transports people along this horizontally long ass thing. And it's like, is that not just like a highway with more steps? Because highways, you have rest stops and you have like little communities that form at each of the exits. And like, you have all this stuff anyway. Like, how is this anything but just like a highway? Like, and I was like, honestly, fair enough. Yeah. It's literally just like exactly. It's a highway. It's a highway, except you can only have like. Well, no, I think that's not necessarily fair because you could have multiple trains in parallel or something. And if it was actually a big long highway as opposed to like a big long train track, then you could route people around accidents. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. But but nonetheless, you could also just like have a more sensible city, right? So it's like someone took the whole idea of like um yeah. Right. Well, I mean, I don't, I mean, I think that's definitely a concern, right? But I feel like the main issue is uh what do you call it? It's what do you call it? Like there's a lot of research into like pathing and like optimal path, like how to like like algorithms for determining the optimal path from one point to the other point. And the whole point of all those things, right, is at the end of the day, you're optimizing compared to doing just a fucking straight line from one point to the other, right? So naturally, if you take that concept that the optimal path from one point to the other is a straight fucking line, and then you say, okay, I want to go somewhere, I want to go anywhere from where I'm around. So in other words, you take this line and then you just look 360 degrees around you to see what is the optimal path to get away from this current position. And what shape does that make? It's a fucking circle, right? So like I feel like it's kind of natural to be able to figure out, oh hey, maybe the optimal shape is a fucking circle. Of course then you get into the whole like why did, like would Epcot have, worked out? Because if I remember correctly, Epcot is like it's that whole Disney like, living arrangement thing, right? And that didn't work out from what I understand for a lot of reasons, but um from what I understand there were logistical issues with that. So I don't think a perfect circle is also the best solution. Especially since the perfect circle doesn't take into account terrain. Um but at the very least, it's very easy to see how the optimal shape is not a fucking line, right? I think it would be cool though, right? Yeah, it's definitely, and and that's what I was thinking about. This reminds me of, or it reminded me of, fly to you exactly. Yeah, just fly. It's just a bunch of airports lined up. But I mean, maybe it would encourage. We all wanted flying cars, right? Maybe it's supposed to encourage flying cars. But the whole thing about the super long megacity thing kind of reminded me of the whole like Concorde, the Mach 1 passenger plane thing. Because that thing was like a total flop, right? But if you consider it and I think I've talked about this before, right? But the Concorde is a total failure from a business perspective. But from an engineering perspective, like they built it, right? And it works. It just doesn't make financial sense, but it works. So I feel like from an architect's perspective, like, why does the architect fucking care if it makes, if it'll be financially viable or not? You know, maybe they just, if they just build the cool thing, then, they built it, right? Like who cares if it's not, financially viable, or, you know, like it's a cool idea, like, right? So in that sense, I don't really want to rule it out, in the sense that, someone could probably just totally dump an asinine amount of like money into, making a super long horizontal city, and it would be at least cool, right? Like it'd probably be a massive waste of money, but like, and like there's a whole lot of issues, but like if the goal is to just make a cool thing, then I can't totally criticize them, right? Because it is kind of cool. uh Content creators trying to make it, I guess, right? But yeah, but that's what I mean, right? Like it's just like, it is cool at the very least, and if that's the goal, then, I guess power to them. I wish they would spend that money on more, on more productive things, but I mean, it is their money. Like, again, power to them. It is cool at the very least. Um, and I think a lot of videos miss that. They're all talking about, oh, this is a stupid idea, and it is fun to like dunk on it, right? Like it is fun to just bash this idea, but like, someone had a cool idea, or what they thought was a cool idea, and they put it into motion. I'm like, I can respect at least that. I think it's a, if they say, oh, this is the city of the future, or this is what everyone will do in the future. If they say that, I'll say, okay, now you're kind of crazy. But if they say, I just want to build a cool thing, or I just want to build this thing which I think is cool, like, I can respect that. Super straight line super city. Exactly, right? Like I built it. It's my thing. I think it's cool. I wanted to do it. It's done. Like if that was the whole thing, then I'd be like, honestly, good for you. I don't think it'll work, but like, still, like like I don't think it'll work, but like, if this person just wants to do it, it's like, again, power to them, I guess, if they have the money and the time, and they're okay with seeing it go. Yeah. So let me go change my. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go get food in a sec. But let's see. Where's my wallet? Yeah. Google Forms. Okay. Honestly, that's a good idea. Yeah, like, it's hard enough thinking of good ideas for YouTube. Yeah, if viewers are okay with, yeah, tap into the creativity of the viewer base, I think that's a good idea. Yeah. Uh, what do you mean? The YouTuber telling the YouTuber to make a straight line city? Like, I mean, I think the first question is, how do you make a fucking city in the first place? Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, so jokes aside, I thought, I know we all shit on, like, Elon Musk and stuff, but he's got that tunneling company, right? Um, like, is there any way we can convince the dude to like make a city that, but like, I mean, like, cause all the like the underground like transit like would be handled, right? Cause he's got a fucking tunnel machine. Um, he made one tunnel, but he can make more. He can make more. This is what I'm getting at. Like, can we convince him to like make like a city, like, as just like the ultimate flex? Like, just tell him just tell him that like underground bullet trains are basically hyperloops, except without the loop. They're hyper like macaronis. Just tell him it's a hyper macaroni, not a hyperloop. And then just, can we just like convince him to make like bullet trains that like go all around a city or something? Like, yeah. Yeah, and again, that's the crazy thing. I was like, why has no one tried to convince him that a bullet train is basically a hyperloop? It's like a pre-hyperloop, right? I was like, why? You guys are shitting on him, which I think is fair, but like, it's not a good way to build. It's not a good way to convince people, right? I was like, just convince him to like do a bullet train tunnel jig, like, because I mean, that's kind of what it is, right? Like, you just have to, like step one would be, you know what I mean? Like, because the hyperloop is all like basically no air resistance, right? That's the whole point of the hyperloop. So you just got to tell it, just got to tell him that, the first step isn't no, air resistance, or like, you just say that the first step is low air resistance, right? So you tell him, okay, we'll build a tunnel, and you put in all this machinery to like reduce the the amount of air in it, and then once he pays for it, or oh, okay, so here's what I would have proposed. I would have proposed, okay, let's build like an underground tunnel thing. We'll use bullet trains because they already exist, and we'll do this as a precursor step, to just like, we want to do maglev eventually, because we don't want to deal with the resistance against the track. But step one will be a tunnel system with low air, or low like gas or like air resistance, essentially. So we want a tunnel system that houses bullet trains, because bullet trains are technologies that already exist. And then we tell him, like, we'll pump in like nitrogen or something, into the tunnel to lower the air resistance, right? And then after he pays for it all, we just rip out the nitrogen pumping system and just leave the fucking bullet train in the tunnel, And we'll say, oh no, our calculations were wrong, and we got to rethink it, but we can still at least run the bullet train, so we can at least make our money back. And then next time he asks about it, we say, okay, we haven't figured out the details yet, so we might, you gotta work with him, you gotta, and I think that's true of everything, right? You gotta work with them. Like, that would have, like, you gotta, like, it's, you might say it's taking advantage of a person, but like, sometimes you need to, you know, call it a bullet loop. Bullet loop is a bullet loop like a type of like what do you call it? Is that like the bullet comes back and like hits you? Like, yeah, I don't know. I think, I don't want to like say he's, totally, a failure for not being able to get the hyperloop thing working, right? Because I mean, hell, Japan's been working on maglev for like decades, and they still don't have a usable thing like built yet, right? Like, high speed transit is hard. Like, it's totally fair. And I think that's something you could convince him of as well, like Elon Musk. I'm sure you can convince him that high speed transit is like working on Elon Musk. Did you hear about the thing where Tesla has like dedicated personnel to like distract him whenever he shows up? I was like, oh, that's like that's so, I feel bad. I'm starting to feel bad for him, right? Like, uh, yeah, but yeah. No, but I think, I seriously think it would have been possible to convince him to like actually, do the tunnel, but like helpfully. And I don't even think inherently it's a stupid idea to just run his cars in the tunnel, like as like a stopgap or like as a proof of concept. Like, I don't think it's entirely stupid. It's just that, you know it the I don't know if it was him or if it was the media, um but I feel like a lot of these places were like, oh, see, this is the future, where it's like, no, the tunnel thing, and then running, Teslas in it, that makes sense as a proof of concept, right? It proves, A, we can build a structurally sound tunnel, and B, we can run some degree of, traffic through it safely. Like, that's all they needed to do, just a proof of concept, and then you'd slowly ramp it up a little higher and a little higher, like one step at a time. Like, that's how research works. So when people were bashing it, I was just like, I mean, I don't, like I didn't assume it was the end product, so I was just like, okay, yeah, like it's fine. Just show me when it all works, Like it's totally normal to do those sort of gradual proof of concepts because I mean, it's dangerous. You don't want to just shove a train in it and, right off the bat, right? So try to be hard as workers distracting you, like exactly. Just be like, hey, I have this new quantum thing I want to show you, it's blockchain integrated and it's got like Dogecoin on it and like what else? What else does Elon Musk like? Uh Make us so much money. I don't know. Does the dude care a lot about money? I feel like so in spite of what a lot of people say, I feel like he, like if he really cared that much about money, I don't think he would, I don't think he'd make SpaceX if he cared much, or he'd fund SpaceX. Did he make SpaceX? I can't remember. Um, because that just seems like a massive. Yeah, he is. He is a founder of SpaceX. Well, I mean, you can, right? I guess, because if I remember correctly, Teslas do use AMD APUs, right? So it's basically a computer in some sense, right? But yeah, like that's won't get him. Cybernetics, man. We'll talk to him about like cybernetics and shit. Yeah. Oh right, because he's got the well, I guess this is what I mean. He's got so much money in all this stuff that doesn't immediately turn a profit. I don't know if he cares about money all that much, He definitely seems like a guy that just like well, how he got his money aside. It definitely sounds like a guy who's just putting money into things he thinks is cool, and minus Twitter. I don't know why he bought Twitter besides he had to, but other stuff it definitely seems like he thought of like, oh, this is cool. Let's do it and let's build it. Let's pay for it. He definitely seems like that, which we've seen both the good and bad parts of. I mean, I feel like he's kind of gone off the deep end recently, but yeah, it's a shame, honestly. I feel like there's definitely past points he could have kind of. Someone said that what he's doing kind of reminds them of like a little kid that's like, oh, I like rockets and I like, like cars and so on and so forth. And they said that it kind of reminds them of like a kid, but and I can kind of see that, not in a bad way, but I think he seems like someone who's like had the resources to just kind of make these things happen. And yeah, I don't really want to criticize him for that. I feel like the things we need to criticize him for are separate things, but at the very least, yeah, I mean, he's got money and he puts it into like interesting things. I think we can say he at least did that. And I feel like he has a little bit of an issue with taking credit or wanting credit for certain things and so on and so forth. And I think he has a little bit of an ego issue, but rich enough, right. I mean, I feel like he's rich enough that he should be able to take this level of what do you call it, jokes at his expense, right? But I don't know. I think he cares a little bit too much about public opinion for someone who has so much levels of like fuck you money, like right? Like he has so much money, public opinion really shouldn't matter to him, but for some reason it does, and I think that's one problem he definitely has. Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, so I'm gonna go get some food. I think at latest places will be open until 11, so I got to get going soon. I might restart the stream. I might not. We'll see how I feel. But yeah. So yeah, Modesty. Hopefully, you can fall asleep sometime soon, or not. I don't know. Are you done with work for the? I don't know. Do you have another day of work, or do you have to? Or are you good? Are you good? I don't know. Don't work? Okay, yeah, sounds cool. So hopefully you can get some good rest. if you are looking for something to just brain dead watch, um, Eminence in Shadow again, highly recommended. And again, you don't need to be paying attention. Like Eminence in Shadow, like dumb stuff just happens. Okay, it's great for if you're just tired and you just want to watch some like stuff blow up. You know. Um, okay, there aren't that many explosions, but if you want to just like watch fights happen and stuff blow up and shit, it's well, I don't know. Yeah, there aren't very many explosions, but it's funny. It's funny. You don't have to pay attention to. You don't have to take the show seriously. So, so it's a good show for that. But anyway, yeah. We'll see you later. Yeah, take care. I might restart the stream, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. See you later. Let's go to